If you're struggling talking on camera fluently and authentically, it's likely because you're making it way more complicated for yourself than it actually needs to be. So in this video, I want to unlock this for you with a mindset and perspective shift that's going to help you 5x your charisma and finally talk to camera in the way that you want to communicate effectively with your audience in a way that is you, that is authentic and doesn't feel like you're being a presenter or doing endless retakes and just making this a horrible experience for yourself, basically. So the first thing, we need to just preface this with, obviously talking to camera is a way that you can massively leverage your time. So if you are, for example, a guitar teacher, right? You do one lesson to one student at a time, you charge $50 for an hour, you know, your time is worth $50 and you're just doing that over and over again. If you talk to camera, which is this, so one to many, then you can make one video and that will reach potentially hundreds of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people, meaning that those people might be watching that video in your sleep, buying maybe lessons or courses in your sleep, or when you're on holiday, or when you're working on other stuff, which means it gives you leverage over your time. That's why we all want to talk to camera. That's why content creation is so powerful. The problem is that this kind of messes everything up for a lot of people because they're imagining that they are talking to potentially infinite numbers of people. Right, that's the sort of fear of the unknown when it comes to talking to camera. You're making a video that will become sort of frozen in time. This thing that is like, well, the way I'm delivering, like that's it. There's no going back, that's the video. And that's open to however many people in the world want to judge it, right? And people are always gonna have their judgments. And this starts sort of messing with your head, right? And it holds you back in two ways. So it holds back your communication, because you've never probably public spoken before. There's like statistics on this. It's people's number one or like number two fear. It's like snakes in public speaking or something. And when it comes to public speaking, you're not trained in it. You haven't done it before. So if suddenly for you, talking on camera is then public speaking, of course it's gonna be hard. It's gonna even make you start sweating and literally causing a physiological reaction in your body, right? The other thing it messes up is, obviously very linked to this, it's your charisma. And that's because the charisma is made up of three things that this specifically messes up, which we'll get onto in just a sec. So what's the solution? The solution is actually to completely flip the script and imagine that you are just talking to one person. So kind of imagine you're doing this, like the one-on-one guitar lessons, except it actually ends up being this. So what you have to do is this becomes, you know, your friend or a student or somebody that you're making a specific video for, and you're just talking to that one person. This is so cool because it doesn't only make you way less nervous, and it enables you to start delivering in a way that unblocks your communication, because you know you're probably not struggling to communicate effectively with a friend. Like if I think about you with your best mate, you're probably not like stumbling over your words and stuttering, right? You're probably fairly freely flowing and communicating. But to a camera, why do you suddenly talk in gibberish? Okay? You've got to imagine that it is your friend. But I don't mean just sort of vaguely think, right, I'm talking to a friend. Like, no, I mean, like right now, I'm imagining that I'm talking to a specific person. And I'm just talking to them. I've like completely blocked out the internet from my mind, right? How does this also work? So this is where it gets really cool. How does this also boost your charisma? Charisma is made up of three things. It's made up of presence, power, and warmth. And the reason why is because charismatic people make you feel special from a place of power. So there's no use in somebody making you feel special from a place of no power, right? Because there could be somebody who you don't necessarily respect, or maybe you just sort of feel like they're just sort of trying to rub up to you and be nice, and they're making you feel special. That's not charismatic, is it, right? But then there could also be somebody who's very powerful and you look up to them, you know they're an authority on a certain subject that you're interested in or whatever it might be, but they're not making you feel special. They're just sort of broadcasting and you don't feel like, oh, they're really talking to me. So these three things ensure this happens. Presence is almost like a baseline. So they are in the room, they're here with you. That's what makes you also feel special, because they're here with you. They're not thinking about other stuff. They're here in the moment. Power comes from a place of authority usually, but not necessarily how you might imagine. Authority can come from body language, it can come from confidence, it can come from self-worth, it can come from an authority in a specific subject. So that's where power could come from. It doesn't mean that you're like better or more worthy than the other person. It doesn't mean you're more powerful, but it means you come from a place of power. And then warmth. Warmth is the key. So warmth is the thing that makes you inviting, makes them feel special, creates a connection, right? That's what charisma is in a nutshell. So by you imagining that you're talking to a friend, not a group of people, naturally it makes you more charismatic on camera, because with a friend you're likely present. With a friend you don't have an inability to be confident. So you're going to be feeling much more powerful with a friend than in front of a big crowd of people. And obviously you're going to have that warmth there. So try it next time you talk to camera. Really imagine that you're talking to a friend one-to-one. Imagine it's a complete one-to-one connection and you are not broadcasting to a crowd, and see what happens. Now, there's a way to turbocharge all of this and make it work much better for you, which I've outlined in this video here. This is super important. It's another mindset shift, but it's a way of making sure that you're communicating always from the right place, where your audience will feel like they really connect with you and who you are as a person. So I'd highly recommend that you check out that video next.